Earlier this year, there were a few rounds back and forths of proposed tariffs between the US and China. Donald Trump finally getting to make good on his decades-long vendetta against China, whether real or perceived. And some of the tariffs were actually put into place. Some are implied that they will go into effect at some point. We've put in tariffs against some of their goods. They've done the same. It's already started to hurt a few industries, including soybeans in the US. And now it's going even farther, and it's not just against China. Trump is hitting the EU, Canada, and Mexico with a 25% tariff on steel imports and a 10% tariff on aluminum sent to the United States starting Friday. Now, of course, China is subject to the tariffs as well, but the EU and Canada send far more metal to the United States, and so the penalties will have a much larger impact on them. For example, I believe that Canada is the single largest exporter to us of these types of metals, about 6 times as much as China is. So if he's sticking a thumb in the eye of China, he's sticking a whole handful of fingers into Trudeau's eyes right now over that. And yeah, so they're not happy about it. Trudeau and others are now responding. Here is Trudeau with Canada's position on the matter.
These tariffs are totally unacceptable. That Canada could be considered a national security threat to the United States is inconceivable. These tariffs will harm industry and workers on both sides of the Canada-US border. These tariffs are an affront to the long-standing security partnership between Canada and the United States, and in particular, an affront to the thousands of Canadians who have fought and died alongside their American brothers in arms. I've been very clear that my interactions with President Trump have been clear and firm. We have always, and indeed he has always understood that I will and do stand up for Canadian interests and Canadian workers. This decision by the US administration will hurt Canadians, it will hurt Americans, and we regret that deeply.
Now, of course, the tariffs against them that's trouble for Canada, but it turns out, there's actually something these other countries can do in response. It's never been tried before. They can set up tariffs against us.
No.
And it looks like they're actually going to do that. Here is Minister of Foreign Affairs, Chrystia Freeland, talking about Canada's likely counteractions.
We are imposing dollar-for-dollar tariffs for every dollar levied against Canadians by the US. We are today beginning a 15-day consultation period with Canadians so that they may express their support for or concerns about the proposed countermeasures and the lists of goods. This is $16.6 billion of retaliation. This is the strongest trade action Canada has taken in the post-war era.
And if you've been paying attention, you can probably understand or predict what's gonna happen next. Trump's gonna get pissed off at what they did, add some new tariffs. They will feel obligated to do the same. We've seen this play out historically before. And before I throw it to the panel, I just want to contextualize these counteractions a little bit. Because saying we're going to put tariffs on steel and aluminum, for most regular people, that doesn't really mean anything. It will affect you. You don't buy steel beams, but aluminum goes into the cars you buy, cans you purchase, all sorts of appliances and things like that. But the EU also is responding, and the EU Economic Regulatory Commission met and has an 8-page list of things they will then be putting tariffs on. That includes things like Harley Davidsons, canoes, manicure or pedicure preparations, sinks and wash basins of stainless steel, as well as orange juice, pork, cheese, whiskey, blue jeans, any number of different products, which means that if you're living in the Rust Belt, you may say, look at Trump, he's standing up for us. Steel is gonna be a little bit more expensive to export to us. And then the products that you make, when you try to sell them abroad, as we do as a country, you will now sell less of it. There will be less demand for American goods because of these obvious reactions from the EU, Canada, Mexico, and related countries.
So China is coming next, and this is about $12 to $16 billion, as they explained, from Canada retaliating. The Chinese are talking about $200 billion that we would do to them and they would do to us in retaliation. But I want to stay on Canada for 1 second, because Trump tweeted out, they must open their markets and take down their trade barriers. They report a really high surplus on trade with us. And of course, as usual, that's not true. You would think that he would accidentally get some things right? And on the issue of the trade surplus, like we have a trade deficit with almost everyone. So it's like shooting fish in a barrel. The one country we don't have a deficit with is Canada. We actually have a trade surplus with Canada of $12.5 billion. And he got that wrong. He got the one country wrong. So, but in an earlier interaction, he had bragged about, oh, Trudeau came in here and he said that they've got a surplus with us, that we have a surplus with them. And I made it up that we don't. I told him we have a deficit. I made it up. Why are you bragging about that? What a weirdo you are. What a strange, strange man you are. And what is that? What is the point of that story? What does it prove other than the fact that you're a pathological liar? And you know they could just look it up, right? You know they're not gonna just take your word for it and be like, yeah, oh, okay, I guess US got a deficit, fine, you win. What kind of, because he's used to making like these backroom deals, like, oh yeah, I'll give you that if you give me this, and then you lie about it and the other guy doesn't find out. You're the president, they're gonna find out. All right, but I'm super curious what you guys think about the trade overall and some of these sanctions that are being, not sanctions, but obviously tariffs that are being put into place.
Yeah, well, obviously this is all ridiculous. But what's a shame is that it also distracts from the medium and long-term issue, and that is our trade agreements are broken. The fix isn't imposing tariffs. The fix is negotiating on behalf of workers' rights so that there's reciprocity. Because our workers are getting the short end of the stick right now. Because we're trading with countries that allow, in many cases, slave labor, that don't have appropriate human rights enforcement and labor practices, so our workers are at a disadvantage. What we ought to be doing with our power around the world is not imposing crazy tariffs that lead to war, but rather advocating for more human rights, for more workers' rights, so that if you want to enter into a trade agreement with the United States, you have to accord your workers the rights that our workers have. So there's an even playing field. And you know, this situation actually, if you draw it up over a long period of time, is in part owned by the corporate Democrats. The universe abhors vacuum, right? And for the last 30 years, there's not been a counter to the obsession and religion with unfettered global trade. Corporate Democrats and Republicans have all been for the same issue, which is no hard negotiating in trade deals, which has left our workers sold down the river, competing with countries that don't protect their own workers, right? And so I think our responsibility is as Democrats to advance a progressive trade agenda that's based on equalizing workers' rights and human rights around the world. And maybe this is an opportunity when people are paying attention to the question of trade where we can start raising that issue.
Yeah.
I just want to say how prophetic that South Park movie actually was. You know, because we're going to have this war with Canada with Eric Cartman as president. You know, and now it just makes no sense, of course, because Trump, most of the things that he does makes no sense, except to him. So this is, I feel like this is a social and personality pathology that's happening, where he just wants to isolate himself from everybody and everything. Obviously, we need international solutions to international problems. One of the things that this hurts the most is the United States solar industry, which is already a 30% tariff on solar panels, which we need Chinese solar panels to solve the global problem of climate change, which of course Trump has unilaterally withdrawn us from the Paris Accords as well. So this, I just think he likes to act on his own, even if it's in no one's interest at all, just to make this kind of trouble. And what's really unfortunate in this week is that it makes Justin Trudeau look good at a time when he just nationalized the Canadian tar sands industry, well, not the industry, but the pipelines, and became an oil tycoon and shouldn't look good about anything right now. The whole international community should be coming together to roundly condemn Justin Trudeau's action against, pipeline activists, against the environment, against First Nations in Canada, that those pipelines are going to run through their territories. And nobody wants that except for the oil industry. So right now, it's this massive distraction from something that Justin Trudeau did that is really horrible.
Yeah, and so I want everybody to understand that the things are not binary. Like that you either say yes to the corporate trade deals or you say, let's do a trade war. No, those not your only two options. Right. And it makes a difference if the president is intelligent or not. And it makes a difference if the president cares about your interest or not. So I think Joe is exactly right. There's a way to negotiate these deals that is better for you guys. So when Trump said that on the campaign trail, it made sense. And it appealed to people because their wages are so low and they saw their jobs being shipped out. I always go back to Nick Smith. He's the guy we interviewed, local organizer, comes from a coal mining family in Western Virginia, and starts the interview during the 2016 campaign with saying, I ain't nothing but a white trash hillbilly from the holler, but here's what I know, okay? And he said, look, at least Trump had the decency to lie to us. And the corporate Democrats have been saying all along, no, there's no hope for you. It's all status quo. We're gonna give everything to the corporations. And by the way, don't get me wrong, the corporate Republicans fully agree. So this is the one issue, not on racism, not on anything else. This is the one issue that they're standing up to Trump on. So they're saying, wait a minute, my corporate donors also want unfettered trade, that is trade deals organized and written by corporations, because that's their donors for corporate Republicans and Democrats. So if you're angry at the establishment, you're right. Unfortunately, we went in the wrong direction as to how to take out that anger, because now you're not going to get any help, your products are going to be more expensive, and you're not going to get your jobs back, and we're going to start a trade war. Instead of saying, hey, instead of the corporations writing those deals, why don't the people of the United States and Canada and the European Union write those deals where we actually care about each other's workers and lift up those standards together instead of fighting each other senselessly and driving up prices and losing jobs?
And wouldn't it be amazing if at the same time that we're helping to use the comparison between our workers and workers in Vietnam or China or wherever to try to raise them up to our level, if the EU could also elbow us a little bit to get our workers' rights level up to theirs?
Yeah, wouldn't that be amazing? Eventually,
be
maybe
great.
like the Vietnamese will be like, look, you guys got to help your workers.
Seriously,
Yeah,
yes.
unfortunately, we might get to that point.
There's a much bigger issue here, though, I think, that is fascinating. Because when you do this, it's clear that there is no such thing as a free market. You know, all of these Republicans and conservatives for years and years, oh, the free market, oh, this is what we have to have, you know. No, our economy is created. It's created by our tax policies. It's created by the ways that we encourage, you know, corporations to just, you know, basically extract things out of the earth and then rape and pillage the environment, and do that without actually any kind of negative impacts on the business bottom line, right? But what this shows is that you could use government policy to actually create better things for working people, better things for poor people, better things for the environment. Instead, this is just sort of a weird lashing out that Trump always does. But it points out the fact that what a lot of people, Robert Reich and others, have been saying for many, many years. There is no free market. Our economies are rigged. And they're rigged to benefit the wealthiest among us. And we could, in fact, intervene in the way that capitalism works and do it in all sorts of ways that would help people. Of course, we're doing it in ways that, you know, hurt most people, in this case with Donald Trump, but it just shows that there's that philosophy of, oh, never touch the free market is a complete and utter lie. And it's been a lie for decades.
What's even worse is that the only times Democrats and Republicans want to touch the free markets are when companies need help.
Right.
But when workers need help,
Right.
forget it.
Or just people. This is
right.
going to hurt poor people in America. It's going to hurt poor people in those countries when, you know, the aluminum cans prices go up and all the basic prices of all these goods go up. For the poorest people in America, that's going to be an extra tax on those folks because that trade gap, of course, you know, unfettered free global capitalism, which the WTO is now complaining about this, also hurts people. It hurts people in other ways.
So, of course, there's no such thing as unfettered capitalism. Adam Smith talked about how you need regulation. Of course, you can't have monopolies, otherwise that would come into effect right away. Anyone who's ever studied economic systems knows that. And it's just marketing by them. In fact, we don't have unfettered capitalism or anywhere near it now, partly because we have gigantic crony capitalism. So the top 200 corporate givers into politics receive back $4.4 trillion in subsidies. Where's your free markets? There's no free markets. No, they buy off our politicians through private financing of elections, and then they have crony capitalism where the wealthy get more wealthy, and the powerful get more powerful, and the rest of us suffer. And then they bring in a clown from a reality show to distract you and do some juggling and say, oh, I started a trade war. That sounds tough. It's not going to help you at all. But are you distracted enough? And that's exactly what's happening now. 2 easy ways to follow the Young Turks. One is hit the subscribe button down below. Then you're a TYT subscriber. And second is ring the bell. And when you do that on YouTube, you're notified of our videos.